Have you ever thought that your refrigerator, the household hero we all rely on, might actually be quietly harming your health every single day? It sounds unbelievable, doesn't it? After all, we've always been told that the more food we keep in the fridge, the safer and fresher it will stay. But science tells a different story. Certain foods, when stored in a cold environment, not only lose their flavor and nutritional value, but also undergo dangerous chemical changes that create the perfect conditions for bacteria and mold to grow. The result? Direct harm to your heart, brain, and digestive system. This is especially concerning for those over 60, when the immune system and resistance are already weaker, and the risk of chronic illness is higher. Storing certain foods incorrectly can become the last straw, leaving an already fragile body even more vulnerable. Nutrition and food safety experts warn that the common habit of just put it in the fridge to be safe is unintentionally adding to the health burden of older adults. It's no coincidence that over 99% of people past 60 still make this mistake, continuing to store seemingly harmless foods in the refrigerator, unaware of how they've already changed from the inside. In today's video, we're going to uncover 9 foods that seniors should absolutely never put in the fridge. Not only will I explain why, but I'll also show you the right way to store them so you can preserve both flavor and nutrition and even save money by not having to throw out spoiled food. And make sure you stay until the end, because food number 2 will surprise you. And food number 1 is a silent culprit that can quietly damage the brain in ways few people realize. Now, let's dive into food number 9 on today's list: potatoes. Potatoes are a familiar staple in many households, from crispy fries to creamy mashed potatoes to hearty stews. But most people, especially seniors, make one critical mistake: putting potatoes in the fridge to keep them longer. It may sound reasonable, but in reality, this turns a nutritious food into a silent enemy of your health. When potatoes are exposed to low refrigerator temperatures, a process called cold-induced sweetening takes place. The starch inside the potato breaks down into sugar. When you later fry or bake them at high heat, those sugars combine with amino acids to form acrylamide, a compound experts classify as potentially cancer-causing. For people over 60 whose bodies are more sensitive to toxins, this risk becomes even more concerning. That's not all. Potatoes stored in the fridge quickly lose their quality. They turn mealy, develop an unusual sweetness, and when cooked, they fall apart, losing their natural texture and flavor. You may have wondered why mashed potatoes sometimes taste bland or oddly sweet. This is exactly the result of storing them in the refrigerator. So what's the right way to store them? Potatoes should be kept in a cool, dark, and well-ventilated place at about 45 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit or 7 to 10 degrees Celsius. You can store them in a wicker basket, a paper bag, or a cardboard box, but never in sealed plastic bags, as these trap moisture and cause mold. And here's an important tip: don't keep potatoes next to onions, because both release gases and moisture that make each other spoil faster. Stored properly, potatoes can last 2 to 3 months instead of just a few weeks. Also, always check carefully. If you notice sprouts or a greenish tint on the potato skin, do not eat them, as they contain solanine, a dangerous neurotoxin. For older adults, even a small amount can cause nausea, digestive upset, or worse. Food number 8, bread. Bread is a staple in most American kitchens, especially for seniors. A quick breakfast with a slice of toast topped with eggs or peanut butter, both convenient and energizing. To keep bread longer, many people place the whole loaf in the fridge. But what most don't realize is that this actually makes bread go stale faster, not slower. The reason lies in a process called retrogradation, when cold temperatures cause starch molecules in bread to recrystallize, pushing moisture out. As a result, after just a few days in the refrigerator, bread becomes dry, crumbly, and loses its soft texture. Researchers at the Institute of Food Technologists confirmed that bread stored in the fridge goes stale up to 6 times faster than bread kept at room temperature. That means if your loaf would normally last a week on the counter, it could turn into an inedible brick in just 2-3 days in the fridge. Not only does bread lose its softness, but it also loses its appealing flavor. The volatile organic compounds that give fresh bread its signature aroma are quickly destroyed in the cold environment. Instead of a sweet, inviting smell, you'll notice the bread turns bland or even starts to resemble cardboard.
For older adults, whose sense of taste is already less sharp than before, this loss of flavor makes bread even less enjoyable, turning mealtime into a less appetizing experience. So how should bread be stored properly? The answer is at room temperature. You can keep bread in a bread box, paper bag, or cloth bag, anything that provides enough airflow to prevent mold while still maintaining softness. For a whole loaf, try to consume it within 2 to 3 days. If you've bought more than you can finish, the best method is to slice it and place it in the freezer. Quick freezing preserves both the starch structure and the flavor. When you're ready to eat, simply pop a frozen slice into the toaster, no need to thaw. The result is a crispy, delicious slice that tastes almost like freshly baked bread. Food number 7, onions. This may surprise many people, since onions are often thought of as a nearly immortal vegetable that can last a long time anywhere. Because of this, many households, especially seniors, tend to keep onions in the fridge, believing it will help them stay fresh longer. But the truth is, the cold, humid environment of the refrigerator actually makes onions spoil faster, strips away their natural flavor, and can even pose potential health risks. The first problem comes from the high humidity in refrigerators, usually around 90 to 95%. This moisture seeps through the onion's dry outer skin, creating the perfect environment for mold to grow. Some molds on onions can produce aflatoxins, which are classified as potent carcinogens.
On top of that, cold temperatures also cause the starch in onions to convert into sugars, making them taste unusually sweet. That's why stir-fries, or, in addition, refrigeration breaks down the cellular structure of onions. When you cut them, you'll notice they become soft, mushy, and watery instead of firm and crisp. This not only affects flavor, but also destroys their ability to caramelize, the key process that gives onions their signature sweet aroma when cooked. A study from the University of Texas found that onions stored in the refrigerator for 2 weeks had sugar levels increase by up to 270%, while their ability to cook properly was almost completely lost. So, the best way to store onions is in a cool, dry, well-ventilated place, ideally at 45 to 55 degrees Fahrenheit, 7 to 13 degrees Celsius. You can keep them in a wicker basket, mesh bag, or even in a clean pair of stockings hung up, as long as they can breathe. One important note, never store onions together with potatoes. Both release gases and moisture that cause each other to spoil faster. The only exception is for already cut onions. In that case, you should refrigerate them in a sealed container and use them within 7 days to prevent bacterial growth. Next, let's look at food number 6 on our list, coffee. For many older adults, a morning cup of coffee isn't just a habit, but a small joy to start the day. Yet many still believe that the best way to keep coffee fresh is to put it in the fridge. It may sound reasonable, but in fact, it's the fastest way to ruin its flavor.
The main reason is that coffee beans and grounds are porous and highly absorbent. When placed in the refrigerator, surrounded by odors from leftovers, cheese, fish, and more, coffee acts like a sponge, soaking up all those straying smells. The result is that your morning cup may carry hints of refrigerator odor instead of the rich aroma you expect. On top of that, Every time the fridge door opens, temperature fluctuations cause condensation to form on the coffee's surface. This moisture accelerates oxidation, damaging the aromatic oils inside the beans, the very source of coffee's flavor. A study from the Specialty Coffee Association found that coffee beans stored in the refrigerator lost up to 60% of their aromatic compounds in just 1 week. This explains why, even if you buy premium coffee, refrigeration quickly dulls its taste, making it flat, bitter, and lacking depth. When ground, cold beans also cause the oils to solidify, leading to a less effective extraction. So what's the right way to store coffee? Keep it in an airtight, opaque container at room temperature in a cool, stable environment, around 60 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Buy small amounts, just enough for 1 to 2 weeks, rather than stockpiling too much. If long-term storage is unavoidable, the freezer is a better option than the fridge, but be sure to divide the coffee into small portions, freeze them once, and only take out what you need, never refreeze.
Coffee is naturally rich in antioxidants, helping improve mood and support heart health. But to fully enjoy its benefits and flavor, seniors need to remember one simple rule: the refrigerator is not the place for coffee. With just a small change in how you store it, you'll notice an immediate difference in every sip of your morning brew. Now, let's move on to food number 5, garlic. Garlic has long been considered a miracle medicine in the kitchen, not only enhancing flavor, but also offering countless health benefits for the heart, blood pressure, and immune system. Yet many people, especially older adults, make a common mistake: putting garlic in the refrigerator. In reality, this seemingly safe habit causes garlic to lose its potency and can even make it harmful. When stored in a cold, damp environment, garlic begins to sprout. Those green shoots not only make garlic bitter and less palatable, but also significantly reduce its most valuable compound, allicin. This is the compound responsible for garlic's antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, and heart protective properties. A study from the University of California found that after just 10 days in the refrigerator, garlic had already lost up to 50% of its allicin. That means you may still be eating garlic, but its healing power is almost gone. On top of that, refrigerator moisture creates the perfect conditions for mold to grow on garlic. Some molds can produce mycotoxins, substances harmful to the liver and nervous system.
For those over 60 with a naturally weaker immune system, eating moldy garlic carries serious health risks. What's more, refrigerated garlic quickly becomes soft and watery, making it difficult to slice, mince, or sauté properly. If you've ever seen garlic turn into a sticky paste after being stored in the fridge, now you know why. So how should garlic be stored properly? Whole bulbs should be kept in a dry, cool, and well-ventilated place at about 60 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit. You can use a mesh basket, cloth bag, or open container that allows the garlic to breathe. Avoid plastic bags or sealed containers, as they trap moisture and cause garlic to spoil faster. For separated cloves or minced garlic, it's best to use them within a few days. If you want to store it longer, you can mix minced garlic with oil and a little lemon juice or vinegar. Place it in a sealed jar and keep it at room temperature. This not only prevents bacteria, but also preserves flavor. Food number 4, bananas. This familiar fruit, rich in potassium, magnesium, and vitamin C, is often recommended for seniors to support blood pressure, heart health, and reduce muscle cramps. But one common mistake many people make is putting bananas in the refrigerator to keep them fresh longer. In reality, this doesn't extend their freshness. It actually destroys both the taste and nutritional value of this nourishing fruit. The reason lies in the fact that bananas are tropical fruits, completely unsuited to cold environments. When placed in the fridge, they undergo what's known as chilling injury, damage caused by low temperatures.
The cells in the banana break down, enzymes become disrupted, and the natural ripening process stops immediately. The peel quickly turns black, while the inside becomes mushy, losing its natural sweetness and soft texture. This process affects not only appearance and taste, but also depletes nutrients significantly. A study from the Queensland Department of Agriculture found that bananas stored below 56 degrees Fahrenheit for just 5 days lost up to 80% of their vitamin C. Antioxidants and beneficial enzymes were also destroyed, meaning bananas no longer provide the same protective health benefits they would when ripened naturally at room temperature. For older adults, this means you may be eating bananas, but missing out on their vital support for heart health and immunity. So the best way to store bananas is at room temperature, between 56 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Hang them on a hook or place them in an open basket to avoid bruising. If you want to speed up ripening, put bananas in a paper bag with an apple to increase ethylene and shorten the ripening time. On the other hand, if you want to slow the process down, separate each banana and wrap the stems with plastic wrap, a simple trick that helps them stay fresh longer. If your bananas become overripe before you can eat them, don't put them in the fridge. Instead, peel and freeze them. Frozen bananas not only retain their nutrients, but also become a perfect ingredient for smoothies, ice cream, or refreshing desserts.
Now let's move on to food number 3, honey. For centuries, honey has been considered nature's miracle medicine, valued not just for its sweetness, but also for its powerful health benefits. Antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, soothing for the throat, and supportive of heart health. Archaeologists have even discovered jars of honey in Egyptian tombs over 3,000 years old that were still perfectly edible. And yet, unfortunately, many people unintentionally ruin this precious food because of one common habit: storing honey in the refrigerator. When placed in a cold environment, honey crystallizes quickly. From a smooth, golden liquid, it turns into a grainy, solid mixture that's hard to dissolve. While crystallization itself isn't harmful, it makes honey less appealing and inconvenient to use in cooking or drinks. More importantly, every time you open a cold jar of honey, moisture from the air condenses into droplets inside. That moisture is honey's #1 enemy, as it creates the perfect conditions for bacteria and yeast to grow, eventually causing fermentation or spoilage. Studies have shown that honey stored at temperatures below 50 degrees Fahrenheit can lose up to 35% of its natural antibacterial power in just a few weeks. This means that when you use honey to boost immunity or prevent infections, its true effectiveness may already be greatly reduced if it has been kept in the refrigerator. In addition, the compounds responsible for flavor, over 180 amino acids, enzymes, and antioxidants, are unevenly degraded, causing honey to slowly lose its delicate sweetness.
So what's the right way to store honey? Keep it at room temperature, around 64 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit, in a tightly sealed glass jar or food-grade plastic container away from direct sunlight. If your honey crystallizes, simply place the jar in a bowl of warm water and stir gently. It will return to its liquid state without losing its value. Here's a little-known tip. Darker honey contains more antioxidants, but it's also more sensitive to cold temperatures compared to lighter varieties. Honey is a sweet gift from nature that can last thousands of years if stored properly. But just one mistake, putting it in the fridge, can strip away much of its incredible benefits. Keep honey at room temperature, and you'll always have a true nutritional treasure at hand. Now, let's explore food number 2, tomatoes. Often called the red gems of the kitchen, tomatoes not only add vibrant color to dishes, but are also a rich source of vitamin C, potassium, and especially lycopene, a powerful antioxidant that helps protect the heart and lower the risk of cancer. But what few people realize is that storing tomatoes in the refrigerator quietly ruins both their structure and their valuable nutrition. Researchers at the University of Florida discovered that when tomatoes are exposed to temperatures below 54 degrees Fahrenheit, about 12 degrees Celsius, the genes responsible for flavor shut down. This means that even if you return tomatoes to room temperature, their original taste cannot be restored. Instead of being delicious, refrigerated tomatoes turn bland, just a red skin without the natural sweetness and signature aroma.
For older adults, whose sense of taste is already less sensitive, eating refrigerated tomatoes makes them even less enjoyable. It's not just about flavor loss. Refrigeration also reduces the amount of bioavailable lycopene in tomatoes by up to 65%. Lycopene is a crucial antioxidant that protects brain and heart cells. Without it, the health benefits drop significantly, and it's a nutrient especially important for people over 60. On top of that, vitamin C in tomatoes diminishes quickly when exposed to cold, further reducing the value of this nutrient-rich fruit. Structurally, mild freezing in the fridge creates tiny ice crystals that puncture cell membranes. The result is tomatoes that become mushy, watery, and crumbly. You've probably seen tomatoes turn mealy after just a few days in the fridge, leaking water when sliced. That's the damage caused by improper storage. So what's the right way to do it? Tomatoes should be stored at room temperature, around 55 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit, with the stem side facing down to limit moisture and bacterial entry. Avoid direct sunlight, but don't place them in a completely dark spot either. Indirect light helps stabilize their nutrients. If you have too many ripe tomatoes to finish, instead of refrigerating them, cook them into a sauce and freeze them. Interestingly, cooked tomatoes actually make lycopene easier to absorb, and proper freezing preserves their nutrition.
Finally, let's look at food number 1 on our list, avocados. Long praised as nature's green gold, avocados contain more than 20 essential nutrients, most notably healthy monounsaturated fats, especially oleic acid, that support heart and brain health in older adults. They're also rich in vitamin E, vitamin C, and powerful antioxidants that help reduce inflammation, protect vision, and strengthen memory. But if you're in the habit of putting avocados in the fridge, you may be unintentionally stripping away much of these precious benefits. The reason is that avocados are tropical fruits, not adapted to cold temperatures. When refrigerated, their natural ripening process is disrupted or even reversed. Enzymes in the fruit begin to malfunction, triggering lipid peroxidation, the oxidation of fats. This process destroys the heart-healthy fats and turns them into harmful free radicals. A study from Stanford University even showed that avocados lost up to 90% of their antioxidant activity after just 4 days in the fridge. In other words, instead of slowing aging and protecting brain cells, refrigerated avocados may actually add stress to your health. On top of that, refrigeration also alters their texture. The smooth, creamy flesh of avocados becomes stringy, watery, and slightly bitter. You can easily notice this when making guacamole or spreading it on toast. Refrigerated avocado loses its buttery creaminess and turns into a grainy, unappealing mash.
So how should avocados be stored properly? Unripe avocados should be kept at room temperature, around 65 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit, in an open basket. If you want to speed up ripening, place them in a paper bag with a banana. The ethylene gas will help them ripen evenly in just 1 to 2 days. Once ripe, it's best to eat them right away. If you must store them, you can place them in the fridge, but only for up to 2 days, and be prepared for a noticeable drop in quality. For cut avocados, keep the pit inside, brush the exposed flesh with lemon juice, and store it in a sealed container with a slice of onion. This little trick helps slow browning and keeps them fresher for longer. Avocados are an incredible fruit, especially important for brain and heart health in older adults. But remember, the refrigerator is not where they belong. With proper storage, you'll preserve both the creamy flavor and all the valuable benefits this fruit has to offer. We've just gone through a list that may seem familiar, yet holds many surprises. 9 foods that seniors should never put in the refrigerator. The message here is clear. The fridge is not a safe home for all foods. Storing them incorrectly not only strips away flavor, but can also destroy nutrients and even create harmful compounds. For those over 60, When every bit of nutrition counts in the fight against aging and disease, these small mistakes can make a very big difference.
The good news is you can change this starting today. Simply keep potatoes in a cool, dark place, bread in a bread box or the freezer, onions and garlic in a mesh basket, coffee in an airtight, dark container, bananas hanging at room temperature, honey on the kitchen shelf, tomatoes stem side down at room temperature, and eat ripe avocados right away. And you've already protected both the taste and nutritional value of your food. These small daily changes are the key to maintaining health, memory, and joy at every meal. Before we wrap up, I'd love to hear from you. Which of these 9 foods surprised you the most? And are you ready to change the way you store them starting today? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your story could inspire so many others. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. That way we can continue bringing you simple, practical health tips that make a big difference in the lives of older adults. Remember, lasting health often begins with the smallest details, even something as simple as how you store your food each day.